Hey, so I'm gonna be getting some instruments ready while I'm talking about stuff, but well, actually, that'd be a good place to start. I'm setting up my violin right now, and so for the second, or I guess the last quarter of the year, really, I taught orchestra for a middle school, and my co-teacher and I were having some talks about kind of picking your battles when kids are making fun of each other or, minor behavior issues, but it kind of strays into the realm of harassment and bullying, I guess, is what we've been talking about. Uh, and I guess the reason I'm bringing it up is that the structure of an orchestra class is well, it's so structured, really, in that you come in, you get your instruments out, you get ready as soon as possible, get everybody quiet, you tune the instruments up, which takes a little bit. You do some warm ups. I mean, you're really just going from activity to activity with very little discussion going on when it comes down to it. And, while you're always trying to integrate as much of that as possible, um, I just feel like, we're talking about all these, having as many conversations as you can about specific issues. And I just feel like, for the most part, we don't have a lot of discussion time in that setting in the first place. And I don't really know way off the top of my head to structure time in for that because you're constantly, I want to call it teaching to the test, but you're constantly working on pieces and rehearsing for imminent recitals and performances and that kind of thing. So it's just the structure of the class in general. You don't have it for very long stretches of time, and that you just end up really playing music the whole time. That's a good solid class in my opinion, is one in which you're playing music the entire time. And I had one instance where I thought somebody called someone a homophobic slur that starts with an F on the way out, and I kind of strolled over there to see if there was anyone I could talk to about that. The kid who did it, and he was out of the classroom in the hall, and I didn't really even see the face in the first place, so I had no one to pursue about. Um, and I kind of talked to my cooperating teacher, and he was basically saying what I was talking about before. With the structure of a class like this, you really got to pick your battles. And morally and ethically, that doesn't always work for me, I would assume. And I don't know. I guess that was what I was thinking about today. Was how can you work conversation time about important issues like that into a setting which is a very specialized setting of an orchestra or a strings class, where really all you're doing, my success criteria for a class like that is playing as much music as possible, um, and really not discussing all that much unless there are specific issues and questions, which are all music related and not really discussion oriented in the first place, because it's very much expert novice situation, like a lot of teaching is, I suppose. But in that, there's a lot of just direct one-on-one question answer type of stuff going on. There are many issues that are specific to every learner who's doing something like you know finger position or something like that. They're having a very particular issue. Your third finger's a little too high. That's not really a discussion oriented type of question, and that's what most questions are about. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of really good moments where we had discussion, and it was mostly before and after really big performances when there's some downtime, but it's not scheduled in. We've had discussions about the feel of this next piece. It's a Native American piece. What are some of the themes? Where we go into more depth, more than just practicing the nuts and bolts of performance, really, because it's a performance class. It's in the performing art department in every school that you'll go to. And so maybe this is a broader question for performing arts in the first place, where you should be asking what are good ways to implement discussion about important issues that aren't related to your content necessarily, but it's still a good and important thing that you should be trying to do, when performing arts classes are so heavily structured on performance and playing and not discussing. So I don't know. It's definitely it's an interesting thing. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how much orchestra I'm going to be teaching, but I'm assuming I'm going to be doing something in the performing arts wherever I am, because you play music however I'm going to be teaching it. There's always music being played in a music class if you're doing it right, I would assume. Um, and so how do you balance discussion time in a performance oriented class? And it's tough. I mean, it's basically just asking questions here. Because in my entire 2 months that I was teaching orchestra, which is not a long stretch of time, I can't think of that many instances where we had discussion about an important issue. Like I'm just remembering the Native American one where you know, we talked about some history and some social issues that Native Americans in the area face and that type of thing, which was a great discussion. And that's really the one big one that I can remember, just because it's a performance class. And so that's not really satisfying, but I guess that's probably, well, there's my phone going off again. It's probably where I'll leave off. Something to think about, at least.